And start as we usually do with our affirmation. Tēnā tātou katoa. We seek wisdom, understanding, insights into the views and circumstances of others, strength to seek what we believe in, humility to accept the combined decision of others, patience, good humour at all times, tolerance and courtesy while working in the best interests of our community. So, good morning and welcome, councillors. This is the first time that we've got almost all of our councillors online. I'm joined in the meeting room with Sandra and Desley Simpson and Phil Wilson. And what I need to do first of all is just to do a roll call of who we've got online at the moment. So to test our system, I'll just run, this is like being at school, I'm sorry. If you can just indicate by affirming that you're here as I go through your names. So beginning with the Deputy Mayor, Bill Cashmore. Okay, Bill might be having issues with his technology there. Councillor Josephine Bartley. So you'll need to put your mic on and affirm that you're there. I know you're there, I've seen you. Okay, I'm not getting any replies through. Shall I keep trying?
Joe, turn your mic on.
Joe, have you got your mic turned on?
Okay. Yes, she has.
Okay, it's not coming through at our end for some reason, so we might need to work that through. I'll just check with a couple of the others. Councillor Kathy Casey. Councillor Efeso Collins. Okay, I'm not getting any replies which suggests that the system is not operating as it should at the moment. Let's see if we can fix that problem. If you're able to hear me, which I presume you can, the reason that we've got a very light agenda this morning is precisely to check out whether we're getting this technology to work as it should be. So that's quite important. So we might need just to leave it for a couple of minutes till we check out what our problem is at this end. So if we just take a couple of minute break here, and we'll get back to you as soon as we've figured it out. Thank you. See who we have got here.
There he's here, Phil.
I can see Wayne there. Councillor, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Bill Cashmore. Bill, are you online?
Yeah, just joined PPAT meeting.
That's good, thank you. Councillor Josephine Bartley.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councillor Kathy Casey. I got the first part of that, Kathy. Can you repeat it, please?
Morena.
Good, got you there. Councillor Efeso Collins.
Present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Efeso. Councillor Pippacoombe.
Kia ora koutou.
Got you there. Councillor Linda Cooper,
Present.
Councillor Angela Dalton,
Good morning.
Councillor Chris Darby,
I'm here, Phil.
thank you. Councillor Al Filipina,
Aye.
Talofa. Councillor Chris Fletcher,
No. Today she's
no. Councillor Fletcher's probably not on today. She's still in hospital. Councillor Shane Henderson,
Morena koutou.
Councillor Richard Hills. Richard,
I'm here.
Yeah.
Also, the live stream is working so the public can hear us.
Very
And
good.
turn off your videos.
yeah, Wayne.
okay, good. Councillor Tracy Mulholland,
Present, kia ora.
Councillor Daniel Newman. Daniel, are you there?
She is, but he hasn't got his mic on.
Okay, we'll come back on that. Councillor Greg Sayers.
Present, Your Worship.
Thank you, Greg. Councillor Desley Simpson is here. Councillor Sharon Stewart.
Yes, I'm here.
Great, no technology problems today, Sharon, that's good. Councillor Wayne Walker, I can still see you, Wayne, so you're there.
I'm here.
And the sky is blue behind you. I think we are being asked to turn the video off for some reason, if you can do that on your screen.
Video.
The video, yeah. That's it. I've got Sharon there now. Councillor John Watson.
Yes, sir.
Councillor Paul Young.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning. IMSB Chair David Taipere. And anybody from the IMSB on the call at the moment?
Your Worship, no, this is a governing body meeting, not an
Okay, so this is regarded as a governing body only meeting, so the IMSB is not present for that reason. Okay, so let's go through the apologies. We've had apologies from Councillor Fletcher, presumably.
Leave of absence.
Leave of absence. Any other apologies? If not, I'll move that we don't need to move that because leave of absence doesn't require an apology. Confirmation of minutes. I move that we confirm the minutes of the 27th of February 2020 and the extraordinary meeting on the 24th of March 2020. Do I have a seconder for that? Desley Simpson, who's with me, has seconded
I'll
that.
second that, Phil.
Okay, Kathy Casey, thank you for that. So we'll do the vote on the voices here. All those in favour, please say aye. To the
Aye.
Thank you. That's really impressive. I'll declare that carried. Declarations of interest. Are there any interests that anybody needs to declare today? I'll just pause for that. If not, we have no petitions, no public input, no local board input, no extraordinary business that I've been notified of, but can I just let councillors know that as we will do as a routine on these meetings, we will be getting a brief from both Ian Maxwell and Kate Crawford at the closing of the governing body or the emergency governing body meeting today. So that will be a chance, as we did earlier in the week, to have questions and to have explanations of where we're at. It's quite important to get your feedback on that. That's an important function of this meeting. So even though we're only hours into the lockdown, really important that you know what's happening and we get feedback from you as to what you might be concerned about or what you would like to draw to our attention. Now we come to the items on the agenda. We have deferred items that were regarded as non-essential. So we've deferred the elected members' expense policy, but we have before us item number 10, the proposed membership of the Heritage Advisory Panel. And I just want to check that we've got Noel Reardon and Carol Harwood online.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, point of order.
Yes. Point of order.
Could I just
Councillor
ask procedurally, I totally appreciate that this is a very new, we're just getting used to how this all works, But could you please just be mindful that we're double screening, so we need to be able to find our agendas, also look at the Skype. We've got a delay in turning on microphones when we want to be able to speak. And could you just clarify procedurally how we ask questions? Are we doing it through the chat that we have on Skype, or are we doing it verbally? So can I just ask that we put in place some of the procedural etiquette around how we're going to continue, and just maybe be mindful that we need to slow right down? And also, what is the etiquette for turning on our video? Like, obviously I've turned on mine because I want to be able to, I don't know if it's a good thing to do it when I'm asking a question or wanting to speak, but just all of those sort of things just to make us run smoothly. That would be great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Point well made.
And I can't hear you now.
Okay, so first of all, in terms of questions and in terms of comments, I think I'll do what I did on Tuesday with your agreement, which is just to run through the list of everybody so that keeps it orderly, and I'll do it in alphabetical order. That's the easiest way of doing that. Votes will again be by division. Whether or not there is any difference of opinion, that means that the votes can clearly be recorded, and we know that what is being passed has been passed, and that people have had their chance to be heard in terms of their vote. In regard to use of microphone and video, I'm going to ask Sandra O'Toole if she can comment on that, if she's in a position to do so. Obviously, when you're not talking, microphone off, otherwise we hear all the extraneous noises. I'm not sure what the answer is on turning the video on. Sandra, have you got an answer on that?
Yes, thank you. You are quite correct with the microphones. It does eliminate any background noise that we have. With the video, it will actually stay on the last person that's spoken. So you might not be aware that you're still being projected onto the screen. So we would rather it be turned off, and therefore the Mayor will be the one who will be projected for the meeting, unless you are speaking or asking a question.
So just to clarify that, if you're speaking, you turn your mic on, but your video on as well, you do that. So is that clear, councillors? Any query about that aspect of it?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, can you also clarify how we ask questions and how we want to bring things to your attention?
Okay, just to repeat on that, we will, at the start of the meeting, I will move, and probably I'll get Councillor Simpson to second because she's with me here, and it's simpler that way. We will then have a council officer's address us on the paper as normal. Then we will come to questions, and rather than have a rush of people on the microphone, so it's a little bit hard to unscramble, I will simply run through the list of councillors, starting with the Deputy Mayor and then proceeding alphabetically, so that I know whether anybody has a question or not. If you have a question that you haven't thought of when I call your name, but it comes to you later, there'll be the possibility at the end of that to raise further questions. Similarly with comments, when we come to the commentary section, I'll run through alphabetically and just ask councillors one at a time whether there is any comment that you want to make. And at the end of the commentary, when the vote is taken, presuming there are no amendments, if there are amendments, you're able to do that in the normal way. Just draw that to my attention. But the vote will be as if we're calling a division. Does that clarify that,
Thank you, that's
Councillor?
nice and clear. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. So if, and I will try to just not be quite as quick as possible, understanding that there's a need to turn microphones on, and it's a little more difficult to do it remotely as we are doing it. So just checking, I think I saw Noel Reardon on screen before. We should have Noel here and Carol Harwood here as the Manager Heritage and the Principal Advisor for the panels. So Noel, if I can get you to introduce the paper on item number 10, the proposed membership for the Heritage Advisory Panel. Noel, the floor is yours.
Morena, your worship and councillors, this is the first time since the establishment of the Heritage Advisory Panel that we have refreshed the total membership. Normally we have rolled over and just replaced those members who have retired during the term. So this is the first time that we have gone out for expressions of interest, and we got a large number, and we had to develop some criteria which should be in your paper to determine who would be appropriately appointed to this panel. Some of the factors we've considered is we wanted a refresh as much as possible, but retaining as some of the existing members just to retain that knowledge and experience. We wanted to have a balance of experts and community advocates. We wanted to appoint people that could contribute to the Likely Work program. Now, we had a number of experts who were fantastic in their field, but were not necessarily suitable for our work program. And we wanted a range of skills and interests, obviously. We wanted a geographic spread, and we wanted a spread across the region. What we've come up with is a panel that retains some experience from previous panels. I think there are 3 members that we're recommending for appointment that have been there right from the beginning, but we've also got a large number of new members. We have retained one place open for a potential Māori representative because we are quite short in that area. And we've got 2 students who we are proposing to appoint to the panel from the Auckland University. So we've got 2 spaces for them, and they'll be appointed once we've discussed it with the university and they're up and running, basically. So happy to answer any questions. I'm not sure if Carol wants to say anything.
Thank you very much, Noel. Carol, is there anything you want to add to that?
Nothing to add at this stage, thank you.
Okay, councillors, so I'll do as I suggested before. It's a reasonably straightforward paper, but there may be some questions around it. So I'll just run through the list alphabetically after the Deputy Mayor and see if there's any questions. Deputy Mayor Cashmore?
No, I'm all good, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Bartley?
No questions, thank you.
Councillor Casey? Sorry, Kathy, can you hear us there? I'll just move on and come back. If Kathy comes back online, she's got a question, we'll take it. Councillor Collins.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. My only question is how long do the officers foresee a Māori representative being included in this group?
Thank you. Noel, have you got an answer for that?
So we have got a Māori representative in terms of Caleb Hamilton. I haven't actually met him, but in his nomination, he identified as Māori. We would like to have 2, and that once things return to normal, will be one of our priorities.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Coombe.
Kia ora. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, and kia ora, Noel. Could you just clarify, in terms of the terms of reference, how the chair of the panel is elected and what the councillor involvement is, please?
Certainly, the chair of the panel, we are proposing to appoint an interim chair through the mayor's delegations, and then the panel, once it meets, will appoint a chair from within. The Councillor Wayne Walker is identified as the council liaison person and will attend the meetings and be available to represent the council through the normal committee process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Linda Cooper.
I was just wanting to ask who are the previous people that are still on? We just can't access the full report there.
Certainly, Sally Hughes, Dave Vert, Elizabeth Aitken-Rose, Sherry Reynolds and John Burns. They are the previous members that we have reappointed. Of those, Dave Vert, Elizabeth Aitken-Rose and Sherry Reynolds have been there from the very beginning. Sherry Reynolds is from Heritage New Zealand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dalton.
Thank you, Your Worship. My question is similar to Councillor Collins. Can you tell me if you engaged with IMSB or the Kaitiaki Forum through Te Waka Angamoa? Because I too am concerned that there isn't enough representation for Māori, particularly in Māori culture, and you haven't met Caleb Hamilton, so it's not clear on what he brings.
Yes, look, the appointment of Māori representatives has always been a challenge ever since the panel started. We have discussed this with Te Waka Angamoa and through the Heritage Unit's own Māori Heritage team. And as I said, it's always been a challenge, but one we'll just have to keep working on.
And in terms of IMSB?
Yes, we discussed it with IMSB. One of the difficulties that we've found is that suitable candidates are already on other forums and other panels and don't have the time. So we've just got to keep trying. I would say that there are a number of panel members who have expertise in Māori cultural heritage. They just don't happen to be Māori.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chris Darby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Noel Redden has briefed me on this, along with Councillor Bartley, supportive of the list that we've got before us. Happy to move, and the panel, the Heritage Advisory Panel, will be reporting to the Planning Committee under our work program on a 6-monthly basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. So I'll put you down as having moved it. I'm happy to second it. So we'll just run through the other questions now. Councillor Filipaina.
No thanks.
Thank you. We've got a little bit of feedback. We'll see if we can do anything about that. Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing on the paper, but I just wanted to point out that if we're asking questions in turn, then people further down the alphabet don't have the ability to move or second things when we're taking it that way. So I just wanted to point out that.
Thank you. Can I just, a technical matter, the feedback apparently is that we've got some mics on. I think Kathy and Daniel, you might have your mics on. So when you're not speaking or asking questions, can you please keep your mic off, and then we can avoid the feedback problem. Noel, did you have any comment in regard to Councillor Henderson's point?
I'm sorry, I missed that question.
Oh, okay. No, I think it was mainly a procedural point, Councillor Henderson, if I took it correctly.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Hills.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Councillor Mulholland.
Kia ora, Mr. Mayor. My question is, thank you, Noel, for your work too with the team. Will one of the students that are identified, will there be consideration to Māori, please?
That's a good question. To be honest, what we had thought of is it would be a student that comes from the University of Auckland's heritage degree. Whether they have Māori students or not, I'm not sure, but I think the point you're raising is a very good one, and perhaps we should not just limit ourselves to the heritage degree, but maybe talk to the university about going a bit broader than that. So I will follow that up.
Kia ora, thank you. No further questions, Your Worship.
Thank you. Councillor Newman.
No questions.
Councillor Sayers.
No questions, thank you.
Councillor Simpson.
No questions. Pippa asked mine.
Councillor Stewart.
No question.
Thank you. Councillor Walker, I'll maybe ask you to second this resolution as the liaison councillor and the spokesperson on heritage. Do you have questions on it?
Sure, just one question really. I don't have the reference in front of me, but obviously I'm going to be attending the meetings. I certainly attended a number of the meetings of the previous Heritage Committee. Just wanted to check on whether the liaison person is actually a member of the committee or not. I know in the past the councillor was a member of the committee, I think. I just wanted to check on that, Noel.
I'm sorry, I haven't got an answer to that question. Carol, have you got an answer to that question? It's more of a democracy one. Sorry to throw you into it.
My understanding is it will be very similar to the demographic advisory panels. So the liaison councillor isn't an actual member, but is the liaison between the panel and the governing body.
And that's been the practice in the past, has it?
That's how the demographic panels work. This is new for the Heritage Advisory Panel, so we're following the demographic panel's process.
So just to clarify that, the councillor would be on the committee ex officio. Obviously, if you're a liaison councillor, that's it's important that you can participate, but the councillors in the demographic and committees and this committee would not have voting rights as per past procedure?
Yes.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Councillor Walker?
Sure. That answers the question. The other issue that I just want to raise is quite obviously there have been more applicants than what we've selected, and that's really great. I'm just mindful that people that have been on the panel before have put in a significant quantum of effort, so I'd like to think that there'll be a thank you going out to them and obviously some explanation. And as much and all as some of them may not be on the panel now, they may still be able to contribute in some way, shape or form, as may others. And I just make the observation that the meetings of the panel are generally in the public, so other people can come along, and the agendas and so on are also public.
Thank you. Carol, can I just get a clarification? The liaison councillor chairs the committee or not?
No, the panel themselves select the chair.
Okay. No, thank you for that. Just needed that clarification. Councillor John Watson.
No questions, thank you.
And Councillor Paul Young.
No question, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Well, look, we'll move now to...
Hi, Mr. Mayor. I have a question. It's Kathy.
Councillor Casey, yeah, please ask your question.
Yeah, could you indicate who the interim chair is going to be?
Noel.
This is a public meeting. I'm not sure if I can answer that. I don't think a decision has been made about the interim chair. We were going to discuss that with Councillor Walker and the mayors before we made that public. Is that accurate, Carol?
Yes, that's my understanding too.
And if we just clarify, the interim chair is only there until the committee meets for the first time and elects its own chair. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, do you have any follow-up question on that, Councillor Casey?
Nope.
That's good. Thank you very much. So let's now move to the commentary, and I'll just follow the same procedure and run through and invite anyone who wishes to make a comment. So if you don't wish to make a comment, that's no problem. Just indicate to me. Deputy Mayor Cashmore.
No, I'm all good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Bartley.
No comment. Thank you.
Councillor Casey.
Looks like a very good mix.
Thank you. That's brief and to the point, Councillor. Thank you very much. Councillor Collins.
No comment.
Councillor Coombe. Pippa, are you with us?
Yes, no, I'm happy to support and the work of the panel, and just happy to hear that we are going to do more attempts are going to be made to get people on there with experience of Te Ao Māori. If I'm understanding correctly, that's still ongoing.
Thank you. Councillor Cooper.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to support Tracy Mulholland, Councillor Mulholland, and Councillor Coombe. Maybe at the university, instead of spreading it far and wide, it goes to Māori studies in their curriculum, rather than far and wide, and then you're probably more likely to get the kind of person that we're looking for. That's all.
Okay, Noel will be listening to this and taking it on board. Councillor Angela Dalton.
Thank you. Just to support the comments that have been made around Māori input. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Christabi.
And just following up from my earlier comments, Mr. Mayor, the three advisory committees, Rural, Heritage and City Centre, reported to the Planning Committee. So they'll be on the work program now. We're going to make a much more deliberate effort to hear their advice rather than maybe they're listening to their own advice. So going forward, we're looking at a much more greater reaching out to the advisory panels and tapping into the expertise that's on these panels. That'll be the way of the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Philippina.
No thanks.
Councillor Shane Henderson.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Richard Hills.
Carl, nothing from me.
Councillor Tracy Mulholland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to acknowledge the good work and some of the people that are on the panel, or people on the panel. I especially note a local from the West. I want to congratulate Carol and Noel and the team for selection. Kia ora.
Thank you. Councillor Daniel Newman.
No comment.
Councillor Greg Sayers.
Just a quick comment. Happy to support, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Desley Simpson.
Happy to support, and I'm very supportive of the panel itself. I like the fact that it has a balance of both previous membership and some new people, and I think I support Councillor Darby's willingness to give this panel a greater role with regards to listening to their advice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sharon Stewart.
No comment.
Councillor Wayne Walker.
Sure, just a couple of comments. The first one I'd note is that amongst the panel members, there's already considerable experience across issues to do with iwi. So I wouldn't make the assumption that there isn't already a significant possibility of input there. The other observation I make, as Councillor Darby mentioned, is for the first time this panel will be reporting to a committee. So that's going to be very, very useful in terms of the advice from the committee actually having a means of being picked up. The only other comment I'd make is that I would hope that the panel is able to meet remotely if we're up to speed on that.
Okay, well, at the end of this 4-week period, we'll have a good experience of how the system is working remotely and how we might like to apply that on an ongoing basis. There'll be an upside to that and maybe there'll be a downside as well, but we'll make a judgment, all of us, I guess, through the experience over the next month. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor John Watson.
I need to say that I look forward to actually hearing back from this panel and the others. That's a very desirable development because that hasn't happened in the past. So yeah, happy to support the resolutions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Paul Young.
No comment. Happy to support, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Well, I think the general view of councillors is that we've got a good spread of people there in terms of expertise and community involvement, but some acknowledgements that the need to strengthen membership from a Maori perspective. I think there's also a strong welcoming, Councillor Darby, of the fact that the committee will have an input into the planning committee, and I thank you for that. So it's been moved by Councillor Chris Darby, seconded by Councillor Wayne Walker. We will do a vote by division, and I'll ask Sandra to do the roll call for that.
Councillors, you're voting on item 10, as you see it on the screen. Mayor Goff.
Aye.
Councillor Bartley.
Aye.
Councillor Casey.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Cashmore.
Yes.
Councillor Collins.
For.
Councillor Coombe.
Aye.
Councillor Cooper.
Aye.
Councillor Dalton.
Aye.
Councillor Darby.
For.
Councillor Filipaina.
Aye.
Councillor Henderson.
Aye.
Councillor Hills.
Aye.
Councillor Mulholland.
For.
Councillor Newman.
For.
Councillor Sayers.
Thank you. For.
Councillor Simpson.
For.
Councillor Stewart.
For.
Councillor Walker.
Yes.
Councillor Watson.
Yes.
Councillor Young.
For.
It's unanimous.
Thank you very much. I'll declare that passed unanimously. We come to item 11, which was to have been the Audit and Risk Committee report on health, safety and wellbeing. But because of the intervening events and only marginal reference being made to COVID-19, it's been suggested by officers that we defer this item. Likewise, items number 12 and 13 have been deferred. Item number 14 is consideration of extraordinary items, and none have been notified. We now come to confidential. One of those items has been deferred in regard to the independent members of the Audit and Risk Committee remuneration. The other item is on the acquisition of land in Drury South for stormwater management purposes. So I'll move now that we exclude members of the public, the reasons being that this item contains information that relates to land acquisition with some commercial sensitivity potentially about that, and private information about individuals. Councillor Simpson has seconded. All those in favour, please say aye on the voices.
Aye.
Aye.
Against?
Aye.
Carried.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye. Aye.
There's
We have a choir here.
yes, there's an interesting element to doing our meeting in this way. Look, if we can just have a 1 minute break, well, to ensure that everything now is offline to the public. And then we'll move to item C1, if you look at that on your screen or on your papers, the acquisition of land in Drury South for stormwater management purposes.